Alright, what is up guys? Today I am back here on the YouTube channel to give you guys our first official comic related video. And I have what honestly might be the best video I put out ever. It's part 1 in a series I'm going to make on what should Warner Brothers do about the DCEU by me. This is all my idea. This is an original concept that I sort of come up with. Just my plan for what would I do if I was in charge of the DCEU, what direction would I take it in, how would I fix the train wreck that it is right now. And so let's get into it. Let's start with the Flash movie that's coming out here. Ezra Miller is a hot mess. He is a train wreck, a liability. So what should they do with this movie? They should release it, of course, but at the end of the movie, it should be Flashpoint based, as in we clean slate the whole DCEU. As soon as Barry goes back to his original timeline, his spot in the timeline, everything's changed. He's changed. The universe around him has changed in a rippling effect outward. So it goes forwards in time as well as backwards in time, changing a ton of things in the DCEU to keep it rolling. So what does that mean? That means we get the same sort of scene we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Fans loved it. I think it was amazing too. We utilized that because since that wins Oscars for fan votes, all right? We clean slate the Justice League. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. I love Zack Snyder's effort he's put into the DCEU, and I hate how Warner Brothers has just kind of stepped all over him. But in order for this to work, we're going to have to clean slate everything. So that means getting the Justice League out. The events that took place in Justice League didn't happen. But remember something. Since Darkseid lives outside of the universe, that he wasn't affected by this. So Darkseid is still Darkseid, and he can look different to us or whatever. We can change that because that's whatever. But Darkseid is still Darkseid, so he recognizes that the change in this reality that's happened, right? Since he has his eyes set on it, you know what I mean? Doomsday versus Superman, Batman v Superman, none of that stuff ever happened. That whole thing is clean slated. We're going back. So that means that we're getting a new Batman, and that will change the origin story. I know no one wants to see the pearls fall to the ground again, so, we don't have to see his parents die again, but we're going to clean slate it with a new Batman. I mean, I don't know why we casted Ben Affleck as a 60-year-old Batman anyway. That just gets rid of all of the possibilities for Batman's backstory. So we're going to clean slate it with something new, something better. That means that Man of Steel is going to not take place anymore either. And it breaks my heart because I think Man of Steel is such a good comic book film. But because we're going to clean slate it, we got to do what we got to do. We're going to just wipe away Superman because we don't know if Henry Cavill is going to stay. I know he wants to stay. I know fans want him to stay. But is Warner Brothers willing to bend their knee to that? Are they willing to keep him? We don't know. So in order for this plan to sort of work, we're going to go into the assumption that Henry Cavill's not on board since his sort of side of DC isn't very successful. Now, the bigger thing is Wonder Woman, right? Gal Gadot is successful. Wonder Woman 2, not so much. And the reason that my plan works is because the further back in time these ripples from the Flashpoint go, the less effect it's going to have on the time stream. I.e., since Wonder Woman 2 happened in 1984, that's closer to the events of Flashpoint than her World War I movie, the first one. So Wonder Woman 2 will be changed, and none of that can happen. But as it goes back to the Wonder Woman era, or the World War I era, it can sort of get foggier, and only a couple things change here and there. We can keep what we want and get rid of what we want. Or we could say it goes back that far and just changes Wonder Woman. We can keep Gal Gadot as an actress, though, since it's stretching thinner as it goes back, we can sort of use her still, since she is a successful part of the DC universe. So, what does this mean we do? Well, we move forward with a Superman film. DC revolves around Superman. It's always revolved around Superman, and it should continue to go that way. Superman is the most popular superhero in the world. It's Superman, the OG. So we start with Superman to craft and introduce us to this new universe. I guess technically Flashpoint's still kind of connected because of its effect on this universe, but we're going to call it the end of the old universe as opposed to the beginning of the new one. So we're going to go with a Superman film. I think it should be called Superman: The Last Sun. I think that's a unique title in terms of a Superman movie, live action. I think it's a great title, and it gives us sort of like a bold, strong, kind of like hefty Superman. I feel like the last son of Krypton, man. I think that's so cool. So we move forward with this film. And I think the villains should be Lex Luthor and Metallo. And what I think should happen is Lex Luthor should be more of a background villain, right? Metallo is, the backstory usually kind of goes is he's just this guy who smuggles weapons for Lex Luthor. He's one of these just kind of henchmen, kind of goons. And then this accident happens, and then Lex Luthor sees opportunity and sees the hatred that Metallo has for Superman because Superman didn't save him, or maybe Superman caused the accident since it's kind of a new Superman, right? Since he's just kind of getting his foothold in how to be superhero too. we can make Metallo have this hatred for him, and Lex to capitalize on that, creating Metallo. So Lex is playing more of a background villain in this scenario. And then we have Metallo face off against Superman throughout the film, Superman learning to overcome it, and like, since Superman's like, I'm a superhero because I have superpowers, he's like, no, I'm a superhero because I protect people, I represent hope, I'm good. So he learns to battle him in the end and fight back against that kryptonite heart that Metallo has. I think that'll be a super cool dynamic. I think it'd be great for a Superman film. It'll give us what we need. Again, keep Henry Cavill, recast him, whatever. Because of the Flashpoint thing, it works. And then, of course, the post-credit scene would just tease the next villain for Superman, right? That makes sense. Moving forward, in the Trinity, you get a Batman film. And Batman should come next, I feel like, because it's Batman. He's the third most popular superhero in the world, under Spider-Man, under Superman. And it's Batman, right? People want to see a Batman film. Now, I believe Warner Brothers has established they do not want Robert Pattinson's Batman in a connected universe. Matt Reeves, the director of the Batman, said, it'd be kind of weird to see a Superman in this film, in this universe. It just kind of doesn't make sense. Even though that's how it should be, because it should be the contrast of a godlike being and this dude in a bat suit. Like, that's how the universe is supposed to work. They're supposed to run into each other, and this dynamic is supposed to be that way. They're the super friends. They're the two, superhero buddies. But, I digress, whatever. A new Batman universe, right? Batman Darkest Knight is a working title. Of course, you could change that, but there's so many Batman titles and movie titles out there. Coming up with something unique is kind of difficult. So, you can't just go with the Batman. So, I think Batman Darkest Knight is kind of an interesting title. And then, of course, once you bring in Bat family members in the future, you can include them in the title or work the title around a villain or something like that. So, I think the villain for this film should be Black Mask. And I know what you're saying. Immediately you're thinking, man, Black Mask was already in the Birds of Prey film, right? And I'm getting there. I'm getting to that, and I'll explain why why this works here, right? So it's a new Black Mask, though. Not Ewan McGregor. It's Black Mask, different. It's new. It's cleaned up. It's better, right? This Black Mask is going to be gritty and dark, and he's the gangster. He's controlling Gotham right now. He's running Gotham, right? And it's, like I said, it's still a newer Batman because it's a newer universe, a fresher universe. It's a younger Batman, but he's still a little, just old enough to maybe get a Boy Wonder Robin at the end of this film or something like that. So I think in this film, though, Black Mask is like tired of Batman ruining his operation and stuff like that. So he brings in the best assassins that money can buy, and I think that comes in the form of people like Deadshot, Firefly, KGBeast, Deadshot, Firefly, KGBeast, and BlackSpider. If you didn't know who these characters were, I think that'd be a good set of villains. I think Deathstroke's a little too much, so I wouldn't bring in Deathstroke here. So I think that these bad guys would be perfect, and it's Batman running through the city trying to stop the plots of Black Mask but also like taking down these assassins as they come at him. I think that'd be a super cool thing to see, and I think it'd be perfect for a Batman film that starts off grounded, but as the universe grows, his villains can grow too. So we could get a Killer Croc, we could get a Bane, a Two-Face, a Mr. Freeze. As these things kind of grow. And then, of course, the end credit scene. I think for Batman, it should be Robin. I think it should be Batman going to the circus, and we see Robin. Or, even within this film, we can introduce Robin, where, like, one of the shots is actually directed towards taking out the trapeze, his family, and then hoping Batman would come since they don't know it's Bruce Wayne. You can see something like that happen. But I think this would be a perfect way to set up Batman and his mythos going forward in the DC Universe. And then moving on to Wonder Woman, who's kind of the hardest one to work with, really, because her villains are so much less popular. Wonder Woman's a little less popular. Her character is very interesting. And we already had that Gal Gadot. Do we keep her, do we not? Do we erase Wonder Woman's history or not? In my opinion, I would say we kind of get rid of it and clean slate it a little bit to just clean it up. But you can keep Gal Gadot. But I would say we do Themyscira Lost. That would be the title for Wonder Woman. And the villain of this film would be Circe. And what Circe... Who she is she's a being from the Greek mythos, and she's a one-to-one villain. But she turns people to animals. And so what I think she could do is she could introduce Cheetah to us, an Amazonian who is always being bested by Wonder Woman. She has this hatred for Wonder Woman. And she partners with Circe, and Circe's like, I will elevate you. You will be faster than Wonder Woman. You'll be the fastest animal on the planet. You'll be a cheetah or something like that. The fastest land, whatever. Some cool, wicked thing where she transforms her into a cheetah with her magic. And then we can see a really interesting and dynamic fight for Wonder Woman where she has these two opponents. She has this physically, strong and powerful and fast being like Cheetah, and then she's got this witch attacking her with this mysticism and this magic. And that's how we can introduce a really magical side of the DC Universe here. We can bring in magic to the DC Universe. We can establish it. We can build on it after this. I think it'd be super cool. I think it'd be very interesting, and I think it'd be the best thing possible. And so, for Wonder Woman, I will get to the end credit scene on what I think Wonder Woman's end credit scene should be. I'll get there, all right? Don't worry about it. I'm coming to that, all right? But moving forward, the next film that they should release is a Green Lantern film, a successful and good Green Lantern film. And so what I think this film should be modeled by is it's Hal Jordan telling the story of how he came to be the Green Lantern to the two new recruits, Kyle Rayner and John Stewart. And I know some of you are sticklers for the comics, and it's like, that's not how Kyle Rayner and John Stewart came into the Green Lantern Corps. But hear me out, right? It's a movie. It's a movie series. It's supposed to be a little different. We're supposed to get creative here. And doing it this way introduces the Green Lantern Corps, Hal Jordan, and Kyle and John in one movie. And it does it where it makes sense, right? It's fluent. It makes sense. So what I think the story should be is Starro. And hear me out, like I'm saying here. This is actually Starro the Conqueror. Not what we saw in the Suicide Squad, and I'll get to that, right? I'm talking Starro the Conqueror, a planet-hungry starfish in space that is just taking over the minds of beings. And so what happens is the Guardians send the Green Lantern Corps to go deal with this threat. They don't take the threat as serious. It's not as big as it could be. They send Sinestro in, right? With his Green Lantern, Corps. And Hal Jordan's just the new guy, right? So he's back. Him and a couple guys are guarding some cells or whatever, right? They're sitting there on Oa. They're doing whatever. And Starro conquers the Green Lantern Corps. They take him over, and they come back in force, and the Green Lanterns are now attacking Oa. And then so it's Hal Jordan and a couple Green Lanterns here and there, Kilowog, Tomorrow, some of the ones that we know and like, making a last stand and running around Oa and parts of the galaxy, like fighting off Starro. And then in the end, we see Hal Jordan with his willpower overcome the Starro and use the battery and the Oath and free the Green Lantern Corps, then to fight the final Starfish and some of the other smaller whatever, right? It'd be really cool to see, and to focus on the element, like the willpower aspect of the Green Lantern Corps, because that's such a big part of the mythos. That's what the Green Lantern Corps is about, is overcoming the odds. Like, oh, dude, the Green Lantern Corps is turning on you. Like, you're out of allies. What are you going to do, Hal Jordan? And him using his nothing but his willpower to overcome the odds. That's what a Green Lantern movie should be about, and that's how we're going to do it well and make this one successful. So like I said, but it's him explaining the story to the two new recruits, because that way we can keep up with what's happening and make sure that everything's in pace with the rest of the universe, as well as introduce plenty of the members that we want to see and build this universe, expand the universe a bit. Now we have the space element of the DC universe. We got the Guardians of the Universe out there. We got the Green Lantern Corps. We got Starro. We got these other planets and galaxies you can see in the film. It's expanding. It's world building, and people like world building. I like world building, and I think that's really important for us as on this timeline, because you're playing catch up to the MCU. The MCU is 10 years ahead of you. It took them 10 years to get where they're at now. So you're playing catch up. So I think this is a really great way to do it where it makes sense. And so I think the end credit part of this movie should be Sinestro's upset, right? Sinestro got bested by Hal Jordan. He has a hatred for Hal Jordan now. Also, the Guardians at the beginning of the film didn't let him use lethal force when coming to the Starro, because Sinestro was like, we don't know the extent of this threat. Let me use lethal force. And they're like, no, just go take care of it. They underestimate it. So Sinestro seeks a greater power than the Guardians, the Yellow Lantern Corps. That way we can tease a Sinestro and actually get to see a good live-action Sinestro. Finally, after all these years. So, now to backtrack to the rest of the characters that we've seen in the DCEU. Starting with Shazam. The Shazam film was successful. They're filming Shazam 2. So how do we get around the Flashpoint affecting something that was actually good? Well, Shazam has the Rock of Eternity. Billy Batson will say that, and if we want to keep the family, fine. They were on the Rock of Eternity. The Rock of Eternity is in the middle of the multiverse, meaning it wasn't affected by the time change in that universe, right? So they're on the Rock of Eternity, and then when they enter back into the universe, their memories get adjusted, so they don't remember the previous film, or we can just say it happened, and because of the magic of Shazam, you can make so many excuses for that. It's fine, okay? Or maybe that's just something the Flashpoint didn't affect, whatever. But I think it's how we shield him from... if we want to make the excuse that he was shielded, Zachary Levi, his Shazam was shielded because he was on the Rock of Eternity. So, Black Adam, that film hasn't even come out yet, so we can just say it takes place post-Flashpoint, right? If there were some things that were from the previous Flashpoint, we just say it was adjusted, and that, or Dr. Fate's remembering something, there's plenty of magic there, we can get around it, but I said the best way to go about it is just say it's post-Flashpoint, okay? Same thing with Aquaman. A lot of magic here with the Trident, things, this or that. Everyone likes Jason Momoa as Aquaman, I feel like, so we can keep him, change other things. Amber Heard, get her out of here. So Flashpoint can change that. We can take her away, and we have the excuse of Flashpoint. We don't have to make some silly movie excuse. We can use Flashpoint. So Aquaman, small changes here or there. Aquaman 2 hasn't come out yet, so we can work with it, right? Now, this is where I was talking earlier about the Starro thing and the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad films. Gut them. Get them out of here. Trash them. But you can keep the actors. That's the beauty of the Flashpoint thing. We don't know what was affected, what wasn't. So we can get rid of all the events that took place in the Suicide Squad, but we can keep the actors. We can keep John Cena, Idris Elba, Margot Robbie. We can even bring Rick Flag back. We can bring his actor back, since I know people like him. We can even bring back like the Polka Dot Man. We can make him alive again if we want to. Like, we can do so many things with that, but gut the films. Same thing with the Birds of Prey. I didn't even take time to put Birds of Prey up here because it wasn't even worth it. Gut it. None of it happened, all right, at all. And if we want to keep the Black Canary actress, since I think Black Canary is a very important part of the DC Universe, you can, or you can get a new actress. It's whatever. Now, here's the big kicker. The Wonder Woman post-credit scene. What should happen is each of the Trinity, that being Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, their films should be narration, right? It starts off with narration, and it's the same narrator in each film. And what we find out is the person who's narrating each film is Dick Grayson. It's Nightwing. Now, he's telling the story of the Trinity. He's telling the first missions of the Trinity. Why, you might ask? Who's he telling it to? Well, I'll tell you. Dick Grayson is telling the story of the Trinity to the Teen Titans. He is inspiring his team with the stories of the Teen Titans because they're about to go out on some mission. Something's about to happen. We can work with it. But I think that that'd be a perfect way to sort of segue them into this universe, is that all those things happened and now we're in the current, right? Now we're building up to what's happening now, and that's the Teen Titans. And we utilize their movie as a catalyst for the future and the current timeline of the DC Universe. So that's the end scene of Wonder Woman, is the Teen Titans. And there's no alert or something like that, right? We pick up with the Justice League film now. What happens is Martian Manhunter comes to Earth to warn Earth's superheroes, the mightiest heroes, the strongest heroes, that Braniac is coming. Braniac already took Mars, and the Martians have powers, right, as established by the Martian Manhunter himself, but he's obviously going to be like the strongest one, since that's how comics work. The Martians fought back with Braniac, and basically it was a futile battle, and Mars was destroyed. So Martian Manhunter has no home to return to, meaning that he's going to stay on Earth, and that's how we segue him into the universe. And that way, there's no other Martians out there, so that makes him the last Martian, kind of like Superman being the last Kryptonian. So Brainiac comes and tries to bottle up Metropolis. The Justice League is directly fighting Brainiac and his robots, or whatever, in Metropolis. They have the biggest battle. What we see then are the Teen Titans and some of the other smaller heroes that we don't even have to introduce right away. We can just see them defending their cities all across the globe after Superman's giving some speech. You know, while Superman's monologuing and giving this heroic speech, we see heroes in these cities stand up, you know, Star City, Arrow, and in Bloodhaven or all these other places, you know, Coast City, we see the other two Lanterns protecting it for Hal Jordan, since he's with the Justice League right now. We see him defending the Earth, and we can introduce these heroes and not quite explain them yet because we have time. And so I say they fight Brainiac. And Brainiac's a good villain because we can always bring him back if we want to. He's a computer program. He has a copy of himself somewhere. Or he can escape, whatever. Brainiac is such a viable threat. He is a Justice League level threat like that. So I think he'd be a perfect villain for the Justice League. I think he'd be a great way to start that sort of team up in a collective, like, we're together now, you know, sort of universe. And so the big thing is the Justice League's post-credit scene is not going to be Darkseid, but the Legion of Superheroes, right? I want it to be that at the end we see him watching from a distance, and it's like, are they ready yet? And it's like, no, this is not yet in time. We're too early. We have to wait. And then we see the ring on the finger, and as it fades or whatever, right? Introduce the Legion of Superheroes, right? We want to see them. They have such cool stories to be told. There's so much to be done where there's such a great threat that the heroes from the future have to come to the past to help. It can be so cool. And you can always then make a Legion of Superheroes movie or a TV show on HBO Max that tells these wild stories in the future that don't have effects on the previous timeline because it's in the future. It's past that. And the future's never set. The future's always changing, like we saw with because of Flashpoint. So the future even felt that ripple effect. And they can see that the timelines change because they're so far back from it. They have the technology and yada, yada, yada. That Braniac 5 is like, yo, we need to go back because now there's something that they can't handle. Darkseid knows. Right? That's what we know. Is Darkseid still watching this Earth? Because he's outside of the time. He's like, they're weak now. Like, they're not what they were. I can take them, and the Legion's like they're gonna need help or whatever like that. So that's something we can play with there. And so going forward, you want to keep the momentum of the Justice League film. So I say we get into the Teen Titans film now. Now it picks up where Dick's narration might have ended, or it picks up after the Titans are helping, fighting, or whatever. And so I think the film should start with a flashback of maybe like the first few founding members of the Teen Titans. You know, Robin, Kid Flash, Speedy, whoever, right? And they're stopping this tech robbery. These guys are stealing this tech, and they find out they work for this thing called H.I.V.E. And then the guys, they capsule. They take the capsule that kills themselves, or they escape, or whatever. They get arrested, but they find out it's H.I.V.E., right? So then the next 5 years, or however long the flashback is, 2 years, whatever, they're investigating H.I.V.E. And H.I.V.E. is like the hooded, leader of H.I.V.E. is like they're getting too close, eliminate the threat. And so then we see them fighting the villains that we liked from the original Teen Titans cartoon. These fans are getting to this age now where, like, this is the same generation growing up that's going to be watching these films. So give us the fans they like, Mammoth and Gizmo and Jinx, Billy Numerous. Give us those guys to fight the Teen Titans off. And maybe some of the assassins from the first Batman film that we talked about, just to kind of keep their characters in the mix, make them, like, let us still know, hey, we're still here, there's still bad guys out there. People escape from prison all the time, villains are not just dead or done. Kind of like how Marvel does theirs. They're still here, and so I think that'd be really cool. And then at the end of the Teen Titans movie, we see that the leader of H.I.V.E. is Brother Blood, and he's like, "Can you handle this?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry." And he's talking to Deathstroke, and then we can get a Judas Contract storyline moving forward with the Teen Titans. We can even get Terra in there. I think that's the perfect way to segue and a great direction to go for this DCEU to keep that momentum from the Justice League movie. So then the question is, what do we do now? And I think there's only one answer for this. It's to world build. Give us characters. Give us solo films. Don't do another team up right away. Take some time. Take 4 years, right? Build the hype. Give us a Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, Booster Gold, Suicide Squad, Plastic Man, Constantine, Justice Society, Green Arrow, Doom Patrol, Black Lightning. Give us these films people want to see. Red Tornado. Give us what we want. World build. Add these characters in so that when these giant battles for Earth happen, you got characters on characters to play on. Because remember, you're playing catch-up to the MCU. That's 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, whatever they're at now. You got to play catch-up on. So work towards it, and I think that doing a bunch of these world-building films is how you're going to get there. So now the question is, where do you go? What's next for this brand new, newly crafted DCEU? Well, you guys are going to have to find out in my part 2 of this video, because I'm going to have to end it here, right? I swear there's going to be part 2. I'm not just going to forget this series, guys. I'll let you know what I think should happen next in my newly crafted What Would I Do DCEU. So, if you guys like this video, please like it. Leave a comment on what you think or what you think should be in there. Share it with someone who is a DC fan or just a movie fan in general. Or you know what? Share it just because. And don't forget to subscribe because, again, I will be posting a lot on here, guys. We'll be doing live streams, so stay up to date on everything that's happening. I'm not going to say ring that bell, but, I appreciate you guys so much for all the support you guys have been giving me lately, and I just hope you guys are having an amazing week, and stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.